Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be watching a scene from the movie Warrior. Easily one of the best MMA movies of 2011, and one that means a lot to me because it's right around the time when I fully committed myself to MMA, to martial arts. I was 14 at the time. I can't remember the last time I watched this movie. I remember it was pretty exciting. I remember it was heart-wrenching, but I want to see how the fights go. That's what matters to me. Let's go. Here we got Brendan. We got Koba the Russian, who looks like a PS2, sort of recreation of a human being. I feel like he was from, Tap Out the video game. Alright. Ref was really excited. Alright, the way he was screaming at both corners. Ready! Ready! Oh! Okay, touch of gloves. Koba's watching him from the corner. Alright, Brendan's trying to take some angles. Gets countered around his jab in the first 2 seconds. Caught up in some knees. Look a little too tight in the clinch for any of that to actually matter. Oh, beautiful combination, though, from Brendan. All right, so what does he work here? He goes left high kick. As he's throwing that left high kick, he's loading up his right hand. You can see right there, he's looking at his opponent. He's thinking about that next shot. But left high kick to right hand, difficult shot to land, to say the least. It's all about how you put your foot down after you throw that kick. Because you just fall from the high kick, which you're maybe likely to do in an MMA fight when you're just opening up with a lead high kick. It's not going to be that easy to put it down exactly where you want it to. Dan Henderson used to throw the inside lead low kick to set up his overhand, but it wasn't a kick to the head to set up the overhand. But he flows into that, couple more hooks, ducked and countered. Takes him into the fence. Clinch. Again, a couple more BS knees. Looked like it rocked him to the body. Jumps on him. He's working in dogfight position there. The shot to the body looked like it rattled him through his entire core. Like it hit him in the body and it nearly knocked him out through his head. Right, it wasn't the body shot that put him down, but it's like the reverberation through his spine that sent his head flying. But he lands down in all fours. Koba the Russian jumps on his back. He's riding him now in dogfight. And the way that he set up his dogfight right here looks pretty good. It should be a little bit more hip to hip. I would say the guys need to be connected, but maybe he's going to work himself into position there or find it a little bit more naturally. But he's exactly where he needs to be for an MMA fight. She's scared. There we go. Just working him in that dogfight position. But the position that he's holding him here, I don't see why Brendan couldn't continue to move. Right? He's leaning on top of him, but he could easily turn to an open guard. Right? He's not really pinning him down in any way. He's sort of just wrapped around the side of Brendan's shoulder. Go, go, go! Get up! That's what I'm saying. Why weren't you go, go, going and getting up? Come on, Mr. C. Uh-oh. So, right, gets pinned into the fence, picked up, turned, given the Matt Hughes Frank Trigg treatment, ran off the fence, hammer fist from the top. Wow. That was a pretty rough first round, but not the end of the world. We've definitely seen worse. Koba's just swinging shots from the hips almost every single time here. Oh, souped onto his neck. How'd that land? Let's watch that again. So he's pinned up against the fence. It looks like he's trapped his arm inside as well. He's leaning forward. Any good fighter would know at this moment you got to grab onto that fence as hard as you can so he can't take you down. You get that once every fight. Okay, I'm fucking with you. Don't do that. But he could have did it, and I bet the ref would have been like, hey, don't do that. And then he would have gotten away with it at least that one time. Instead of going for this air miles, boom, slammed onto his neck. Beautiful suplex. Koba's still right. What the fuck was that move? Wait a minute. He has him in side control, and he's picking him up by his hips, like that's his legs in the air. Who remembers that from the movie? I don't know. Maybe I was just too young and was watching it like, holy shit, this stuff's awesome. But the way he just picked him up. Wait. He's got him again, like just turtled over. That's Brendan's #1 defense on the ground. He goes straight turtle every time. Just hands on his head, brings his elbows to his knees, tucks it down, and hopes that he's not going to get hit anymore. But Koba realized that he survived the last round in the turtle. So what does he do now? Boom. Picks him up by the hips. Boom. Tries to throw him out of the fucking ring. Brilliant. Slam. Like a ragdoll's right. Again, just grinding this guy down. Oh my God. Just little chipping hammer fists. Koba's not giving enough space to actually land anything of that much significance. Right, he's just kind of like pounding him into the fence, beating him up a little bit, but isn't really, I don't know, putting himself in position to get real knockout power. Right, if he just postured back a little bit and gave his arms a little bit more room to move instead of those pitter-patter shots, he probably could have finished it in a second. All right, what's coach going to say? Breathe. Good start. Small sips. Hold this. He's saying everything a coach should say. Why are we here? If you're not about to kiss your fighter in the corner when he's going through the fight of his fucking life, then you're not really trying. You're not really trying as a coach. You want to get nose to nose, forehead to forehead, chest to chest with your fighter to show him you care. And then maybe lock lips with him. But if you do, just don't tell anybody about it. It's too much. It's too much. We're gonna go home. We're gonna go. You and me. We're gonna take this whole thing home. We're gonna forget about all this fight and stuff. And you and me, we're gonna run away together. It's exactly what you gotta say, though. If you don't knock him out, you don't have a home. I think they live together, and he's gonna kick him out. Seconds out. Let's do it. Koba the Russian looking real good right now. I like how they gave him like red and yellow tap out gear to really show how Soviet he is. He's a Soviet Russian. Now that face, you gonna tell me he's about to lose this fight? Not in this lifetime. Honestly, so far so good with these fight scenes. A bit of madness, especially just with that one throw, but the rest, it's all pretty legit. Right, again, using some footwork, gets countered in the exact same way he did in the first round. I think it's almost the same scene. Right, pushing the elbow off from the clinch. Same combo from before. Caught up in a single leg. Looks like he's working a guillotine. Right, he has an overhook, and Koba's tying up his same side leg there. Right, pulling it into him. Right, but he's using what looks like a forearm frame against the side of Koba's head. An overhook, creating pressure on Koba's shoulder, so it's much harder for him to control that leg, and gives Brendan more leverage to kick that leg out. So it's putting him in a much safer position. And Koba looks like he ducks. He's going into double leg. No, he's continuing to work the single leg. Transitions to a Kimura or a key lock grip. Right, if you do that, right, there's very few ways that you can escape the lock just from fighting your hands out, because there's so much leverage from your opponent's, the mechanics of the way that he's holding that hand. So usually what a guy will do in that scenario is that he'll roll out so he gets to an open position. But it looks like Brendan chased that, followed that key lock grip, and landed on top. All right. They both stand up in a scramble, transitions to a double leg. Right, he's getting put in a guillotine here, sort of forced himself into that position by just jamming forward, almost in a, a spazzy shot of a takedown. I don't know if he's thinking about, okay, maybe I can't knock him out. He's too strong, he's too tough, he's got that great cardio. I'll take him down, we'll wrestle a bit. Go for a submission, but he definitely just stuck his head into a guillotine position. And the guillotine position, I would say, is easily the most misunderstood position in MMA. Intuitively, so many fighters, based on their jiu-jitsu roots, will go to a guillotine and they'll put themselves into a much worse position by putting themselves onto their back, by committing to just holding onto their opponent's head, which almost every time, I swear to God, almost every time the guy will get out, they'll grit it out, because a guillotine is a very technical choke. It's not just grabbing the head and trying to rip the guy's head off. You need a lot of control of his hips. You need a lot of control of his head. You're dealing with fighting both of your opponent's hands. Usually you're on your back. It takes a lot of muscle and strength to actually execute it. And most of the time you're just crushing the guy's head and ripping his, ripping his neck off. So guillotine's one of the worst things that you can do in MMA, and he's not even doing it right. He's just squeezing Brendan's head as hard as he can. He's not arching back. He's not creating any leverage, because the way that the guillotine works, it's either standing, the weight of the body is creating pressure against the opponent's neck and hanging him. I guess guillotine's not really the right word if we want to think about it that way. Or you're controlling your opponent's lower half with your hips or with your legs and then creating that same arch. But if you're just squeezing the guy's neck, it's not enough leverage to actually create a real choke, unless you can lock it up and press his head into this space. You can't close the space tight enough just by squeezing this way. Very rarely would that ever work. And throwing punches in this scenario is not the best thing that you can do, right? He's really at no risk in this moment. A lot of fighters, especially amateurs, will do something like this. I would say almost exclusively beginners in MMA will do something like this. And it's like a godsend. Yeah, please, squeeze onto my head. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to take you down. You're going to be stuck on your back. You're going to keep squeezing my head. It's going to be annoying. I can't do much until I get my head free, but you're not going to hold on to my head forever. And there's still the risk of a Von Flue choke, which would be sick if we see that right now. I thought he was going to... Oh, bit of a fireman carry? What happened there? So he started by... It looks like he was reaching to grab his hair, but realized he was bald. Goes over the top, locks up the head, under his legs here. It's like almost... Yeah, it's pretty much a fireman carry, I guess, from a guillotine. It'd be so much easier just to double leg your opponent there. He's standing straight up and just squeezing with his arms like this. If you collect your hands together and turn him, he's going to end up on his back. But instead he goes for a badass move, right? Why not? And the way that he's setting up this armbar, let's watch it back. Kids are excited. All right, so he's starting with a key lock. He steps over top, transitions to his scissor armbar. Steps over top. The way that he just executed that scissor armbar, though, way too much space. You can't be jumping off of the guy and expecting that scissor armbar to happen. You got to be rotating around the body, keeping weight and pressure on top of him the entire time, because the enemy of jiu-jitsu, the enemy of grappling is space. If you're giving your opponent a ton of space, they're always going to have opportunities to escape. But if you keep that space closed, you keep the limbs isolated against you, then you can start setting up submissions. And very rarely would you be able to jump into his submission like he did here, right? You can even see all of that space that he gave him when he's spinning around, right? He's like standing up. Look, you can see it. Boom. He's like standing up above him. He's jumping in the air. Like, this is 1,000,000,001 opportunities for Koba to escape. Like, maybe if he did it and he was 125 pounds and his name was Mighty Mouse, then he could probably do that. But there's not a lot of other fighters who can jump into arm bars in that way. And Koba probably would have already escaped by now. Right? Again, there's so much space between him and Koba. There's no way he would have finished that arm bar. And you know what? Maybe that is realistic to fighting, because a lot of guys do jump on submissions like that, and they don't actually sort of set them up thoughtfully with control first, and maybe a little bit of striking to get that limb out while maintaining control over your opponent's body. They just jump on things, and it's going back to the guillotine. You see that all the time with the guillotine. Come on! Don't give up, Brendan! Wow. Little jump off the cage. Rolled over into mount. Somehow lost that mount instantly. See, this is what you got to be doing. Now that's MMA. He's got his fingers through the fence. He's holding on for dear life. while getting punched in the face from behind. Boom. Look at that fucking iron grip he has on that cage. He's like, no, you're not suplexing me again. Not a chance. I'd rather get popped in the grill a couple times than go for another ride like that. Transitions, turns him around. They do a little 360 spin. Watch this. Spin, spin, spin. Boom. Pops a couple shots off. Holy shit, this camera angle's chaos. Low kick. Ducks underneath the hook. Elbow from behind. Rolled into a knee bar. Beautiful. And you know what? Maybe that makes sense in the context of how this fight has been going so far. Because Koba has tended to continue to go to Brendan's back. He wants to throw him around. He wants to suplex him. He wants to drag him to the mat. He likes that, I guess, dogfight position where he can beat him up. And we've seen that more than a few times in this fight. And funny enough, look at that, right? He goes on to Brendan's back again. He rolls through to set up a beautiful knee bar. Locked up that leg. Kind of. How locked up? Where the fuck are Brennan's legs? What the trying to figure out whose legs are whose here. Oh, okay, wait, yeah, so his top leg is right there. Or there it is. Boom, bottom leg's there. Alright, cool. Yeah, so he has that locked up, but he doesn't really have the correct angle. He'd be more likely to actually set up a heel hook from this position, but I think they're trying to present this as a knee bar. Rolls into it. Shotgun knee bar, but again, look how loose he is on that leg. There's so much space. Brian Callen's not liking it. Look how high he is on that leg. You can see his hips should almost be connected to Koba's hips. So that knee is right in the center of his chest. His whole body is basically connected to the knee and lower here. That's not enough space to create leverage or maintain control of that leg. Koba should be taking his free leg, sticking it into Brendan's ass and kicking away, and he'd probably pop out in the first kick. He's not, the thing is, he's not deep. They just said he's deep. He's not deep at all. He's holding on to it. What the fuck are you doing? Break it! I can't do it! He's trying to take that leg home with him. What the hell is the... How the hell did he set up this submission? We got him looking at the camera and everything. How the hell is this submission work? Look at the way his foot's angled right now. It's not... There'd be no leverage against the knee. It'd be like he's like going into the bend of the knee where the toes are. And he has both of his arms trapped behind his back like this. He's connected his hands together behind his back while locking the knee and arching in. For what reason would you ever do something like that? Is that actually a move? Leave a comment if that's actually a move. I've never seen that in my life. I don't recall ever watching that in this movie before. I've never seen a jiu-jitsu move in my life like that, where you trap the leg in... You guys see what I'm seeing? Somebody make sense of what I'm watching here. He's putting his fucking life into that. And now that foot's in such a different position. It's barely in that lock. Like the heel is just like grazing onto his armpit while he traps his own arms behind his back and arches into that. Has anybody seen that before? I've never seen a submission executed in this way. I swear to God. And if you have, leave a comment as to what the hell this is. Koba's fighting for his life, though. It's working. And he taps to the weirdest knee bar, heel hook. I can't even describe what that was. He was setting up the knee bar perfectly. And funny enough, that has happened in one of my fights. And I had to escape that exact way of kicking against his butt while my knee was like crackling and popping and he was putting his entire life into breaking my leg. But I can tell you what my opponent didn't do was trap his own hands behind his back and somehow isolate that leg underneath it and arch into it. The biggest upset in MMA history, eh? He did it. He did it for us. And I love that he fought a Russian. Just because it's so cliche. Brian Callen, he loves it. There we go. That's about as good as it gets when it comes to MMA. Leave a comment what you guys think about that submission. I've never seen that submission in my life, and even link a video of someone demonstrating. I feel like that's some old school like shoot boxing or like catch wrestling type shit. I've never in my life heard of anything like that before. If I was going to rate this fight for realism to not realism, we're leaning into realism. If it was the biggest upset in MMA history, I would say that this fight was maybe at the amateur level, first to fourth or fifth fight. I'd give them that much skill. So definitely not the top of MMA. I can say that the wrestling was pretty fun to watch. The striking was chaotic at best. The jiu-jitsu nearly made no sense. The setups in jiu-jitsu were all done correctly, but done at a white belt level. Like, that last move looks like a white belt who's just like, I don't know what the hell's happening, but I'm just going to squeeze on it as hard as I can. That's what that looks like to me. They just grabbed onto a guy's head and just started squeezing as hard as they can and hope that a choke happens. Same with that guillotine. It's just like, he's just holding his head. He's like, I'm just going to squeeze and hope that something happens. And here, he's like, I'm going to grab your leg. I've never tried a leg submission in my life, but I'm going to squeeze it and see what happens. And Koba tapped, probably because he didn't know what was happening either, and he was scared. That was a pretty fun fight to watch. If there's any other fights that you guys want me to watch, leave it in the comments. We'll watch it. I don't know. We'll check it out soon. Thanks for being here. See you next time. Bye.